In 1492, Christopher Columbus, an Italian explorer, sailed west across the Atlantic Ocean. He was searching for a new trade route to Asia. Instead, he'd landed on islands in the Caribbean Sea. This momentous event marked the beginning of European exploration and colonization of the Americas. Columbus's voyages opened the door for other European powers. England, France, Spain, and the Netherlands all vied for control of this vast new land. They established colonies, exploited resources, and interacted with the native populations. The arrival of Europeans had a profound impact on the Americas. The exchange of goods, ideas, and diseases, known as the Columbian Exchange, transformed both sides of the Atlantic. However, European colonization also led to the displacement and suffering of many indigenous peoples. Conflicts arose from land disputes, cultural clashes, and the devastating effects of European diseases. The early encounters between Europeans and Native Americans shaped the course of American history. They laid the foundation for the diverse cultural landscape and the ongoing struggle for equality that would come to define the United States. The first permanent English settlement in North America was Jamestown, Virginia, established in 1607. This marked the beginning of a new era, as brave settlers crossed the Atlantic in search of new opportunities and a fresh start. Despite the unknown challenges that lay ahead, their determination and resilience would lay the foundation for what would eventually become the United States of America. The colonists faced numerous hardships, including harsh winters, disease, and conflicts with indigenous peoples. However, the colony eventually thrived through the cultivation of tobacco, which became a highly profitable cash crop. This agricultural success attracted more settlers and investment, ensuring the survival and growth of the fledgling colony. Over the next century, 13 colonies were established along the Atlantic coast. Each colony was unique, with its own governance, economy, and social structure. These colonies stretched from the New England region in the north to the southern colonies in the south, creating a diverse and dynamic society. Each colony developed its own unique character and identity. The settlers brought with them different traditions, beliefs, and ways of life, which influenced the development of their communities. This diversity would become a defining feature of the American identity. The New England colonies, founded by Puritans seeking religious freedom, emphasized education, self-governance, and community. They established schools and colleges such as Harvard to ensure that future generations were well-educated and capable of leading their communities. The Middle colonies, known for their fertile land and religious tolerance, attracted a diverse population of farmers, merchants, and artisans. This region became a melting pot of cultures and ideas, fostering a spirit of cooperation and innovation. The Southern colonies, with their plantation economy based on slave labor, focused on cash crops like tobacco, rice, and indigo. The reliance on slavery would have profound and lasting impacts on the social and economic fabric of the region. As the colonies grew, so did their sense of independence from Great Britain. The distance from the mother country allowed the colonists to develop their own systems of self-governance and a distinct American identity. The colonists valued their freedoms and resented British attempts to control their affairs. They believed in their right to self-determination and were increasingly frustrated by British policies that they felt were unjust and oppressive. Tensions escalated over issues such as taxation without representation, restrictions on westward expansion, and British interference in colonial legislatures. These grievances united the colonies in their opposition to British rule and set the stage for a larger conflict. By the mid-18th century, a spirit of revolution was brewing in the American colonies. The desire for independence and self-governance grew stronger, fueled by Enlightenment ideas and the colonists' own experiences of self-rule. Influential figures like Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and George Washington emerged as leaders of the growing movement for independence. Their leadership and vision inspired others to join the cause and fight for a new nation. Their ideas about liberty, equality, and self-government resonated with the colonists and set the stage for a momentous conflict. These principles would become the foundation of the United States, guiding the nation through its struggles and triumphs in the years to come. In 1775, tensions between Great Britain and the American colonies erupted into war. The colonies had long felt the heavy hand of British rule, with taxes and laws imposed without their consent. This growing discontent reached a boiling point, leading to the outbreak of the American Revolutionary War. The American Revolutionary War was a fight for freedom and the right to self-government. It was a struggle that pitted the determined colonists against one of the most powerful empires in the world. The stakes were incredibly high, as the outcome would determine the future of the American colonies. The colonists, led by General George Washington, faced a formidable foe in the British Empire. Washington's leadership and strategic acumen were crucial in rallying the Continental Army and maintaining morale during the darkest days of the conflict. Despite early setbacks, the Continental Army persevered, inspired by the ideals of liberty and aided by foreign support. The French in particular provided essential military assistance, which proved to be a turning point in the war. The Declaration of Independence, adopted on July 4, 1776, proclaimed the colony's separation from Great Britain. This bold statement was a declaration of the colonists' intent to form a new nation, free from British rule. This historic document, drafted primarily by Thomas Jefferson, declared that all men are created equal and endowed with certain unalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It articulated the philosophical foundation of the new nation and justified the colony's break from British rule. The Revolutionary War raged for 8 long years, testing the resolve of the American people. The soldiers endured harsh winters, scarce supplies, and the constant threat of battle, yet their determination never wavered. From the battles of Lexington and Concord to the decisive victory at Yorktown, the colonists fought bravely for their independence. Each battle was a testament to their courage and commitment to the cause of freedom. The war ended in 1783 with the Treaty of Paris, which recognized the United States of America as a sovereign nation. This treaty marked the official end of the conflict and the beginning of a new era for the American people. The American Revolution was a watershed moment in world history. It not only secured independence for the United States, but also inspired a wave of revolutionary movements around the globe. It inspired other nations to fight for their own freedom and established a new model of government based on the principles of democracy and individual liberty. The ideals of the American Revolution resonated far beyond its borders, influencing countless struggles for independence and democratic governance. The United States, a fledgling nation born from revolution, embarked on a remarkable journey to fulfill its promise of freedom and opportunity for all. The principles enshrined in the Declaration of Independence would guide the nation as it grew and evolved, striving to live up to its founding ideals. Following the American Revolution, the newly formed United States faced the monumental challenges of establishing a stable government and resolving deep-seated internal divisions. The war had left the nation in a state of economic turmoil and political uncertainty, with various factions vying for power and influence. The Articles of Confederation, adopted in 1777, proved inadequate in addressing these challenges. The document created a loose confederation of states with a weak central government, which struggled to enforce laws, regulate commerce, or levy taxes effectively. In 1787, recognizing the need for a stronger framework, delegates from the states convened at the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia to address these pressing issues. The gathering was a pivotal moment in American history, bringing together some of the brightest minds of the era. The delegates, led by influential figures such as James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and other founding fathers, engaged in heated debates over the structure and powers of the new government. These discussions were intense and often contentious, reflecting the diverse interests and philosophies of the states. They ultimately crafted the United States Constitution, a remarkable document that has stood the test of time. This new Constitution established a more robust federal government with the ability to govern effectively while still respecting the sovereignty of individual states. The Constitution established a federal system of government with a balance of power between the national and state governments. This system was designed to prevent any one entity from becoming too powerful, ensuring a system of checks and balances. However, the issue of slavery continued to plague the nation. Despite the ideals of liberty and equality espoused by the Revolution, slavery remained a deeply entrenched institution, particularly in the southern states. The southern states, economically dependent on slave labor for their agricultural economy, resisted attempts to abolish it. This resistance was not just economic but also cultural, as the institution of slavery was deeply woven into the social fabric of the South. The Missouri Compromise of 1820 and the Compromise of 1850 attempted to maintain a balance between free and slave states, but tensions continued to escalate. These compromises were temporary solutions that failed to address the underlying moral and political conflicts. The issue of slavery ultimately led to the American Civil War in 1861. This conflict was the culmination of decades of tension and division, as the nation could no longer reconcile the differences between the free and slave states. The Civil War was a brutal conflict that pitted brother against brother, neighbor against neighbor. It was a war that tested the very fabric of the nation, resulting in immense loss of life and widespread destruction. The Union, led by President Abraham Lincoln, fought to preserve the nation and end the institution of slavery. Lincoln's leadership was crucial in navigating the Union through its darkest hours and striving to keep the country united. The Confederacy, composed of 11 Southern states that seceded from the Union, fought to preserve their way of life and the institution of slavery. This secession was a bold and desperate move, reflecting the deep divisions that had come to define the nation. Section 5. Forging an Industrial Powerhouse.